this computer. Okay, so here is the beginning of my show, and thank you for coming. And for those of you who couldn't make it or watching this later, thanks for going to YouTube and finding it. So Winter Light is silent. And I'll just get it up here. Here it is. This will give us a chance to rest and refresh and think about what the winter was like for us, and then we'll get on to some slightly noisier stuff. Can you all see that?
Yeah, seeing it now.
Great. Okay, that was, hope you can hear me now. That was Winter Light. Thanks for watching.
Awesome.
Oh, it was very good.
Thank you.
Remember how cold it was. Everything, there's so much snow.
Oh, yeah. And when we got like snow drifts and ice packed on structures and things, it stayed for weeks. Usually it washes away in a warm spell. We didn't have a warm spell this winter. Okay, so now I thought I'd do this early because I'm kind of nervous about my singing. I'm going to do 3 songs. The first one is a parody of an old song called Abilene. I don't know if any remember it. It was sort of a country and western hit in the 60s. But anyway, I've given it updated lyrics, kind of reflect what we've been going through. And the song is called Quarantine. I was never actually in quarantine because I never actually caught COVID, to my relief, but it was a word that was on everyone's lip. Then we heard about the government, you know, making rulings about when you had to be in quarantine, when you didn't. So can you hear the guitar? Okay, because it's hard to balance the sound. So here we go. Quarantine, loneliest place that I've ever been. Ain't no women can be seen in quarantine. I sit alone every night, awaiting deliveries that I never write. Wish that I could go out for a bite, but I'm in quarantine. streets are empty, ain't no one around. Even the dogs are in their pound. But I ain't bothered, I'm homebound. Until time my quarantine. Quarantine. Great place to have COVID-19. Wonder if I'll ever be seen out of quarantine, my quarantine. Okay, that was a short one.
Rocket.
Thank you. I love those chords. They're a little unusual for a country western song. Okay, so the next one. This damn thing where I can see it. Of course, if I was younger, I would have memorized these, but I'm too old for that shit now. This gets a co-writing credit from my sister Rose Vaughn, who really is a songwriter. She's done several CDs. She used to tour the Maritimes with her group called the Rose Vaughn Trio. And one of her songs, Stone and Sand and Sea and Sky, has become very popular in terms of people requesting that it be played at their funerals. So she's a successful songwriter, and she helped me with this one. Just a minute. Okay, technical problems. I hope everything's still working. You can still hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So this is about a neighbor of mine. I live in an old apartment building in the Beaches. He lived down the hall with his wife, and I used to go to the local pub and see him there, and then he passed away. So I wrote a song about him, and it's called Captain Shipwreck. Old Captain Shipwreck, he lived down the hall. Him and his crazy old blue, all washed up, you see, so far from the sea. Lost in a city where you'll never be free. Poor Captain Shipwreck, marooned life. His beard gone to silver and his angry old wife. And he's tired of the city, so tired is he. His broken down life and his busted teeth. Old Captain Shipwreck's as dry as can be, so he heads to the tavern for a bit of relief. And he rides a schooner with cheap beer and smokes. The other old fellas and their tired old jokes. He stares out the window that's grimy and gray. The hours, rivers of traffic that drag by each day. And if he stays too long, she'll lock the door. The love left between them not anymore. But one night in spring, there was quite a commotion. Something had changed like a wind from the ocean. He just shipped away, leaving few earthly things. Beulah packed up his gear and took off her wing. So farewell, Captain Shipwreck, I'll raise you a toast. You tricky old sea dog gone like a ghost. But you finally made it, you just slipped away. You could see the waves flashing and feel the salt spray. You could see the waves flashing and feel the salt spray. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of the rest of you do this, but I'm out walking a lot in my neighborhood, and so I see people regularly, and I don't know who they are, but I give them nicknames. So that's where Captain Shipwreck came from. Some of the other people I see regularly are Lady Leatherface, who's been out in the sun too much. a guy with a weird blonde page boy haircut who looks about my age that I call blonde attrition, and Sketchy Sadie, who lives in the next building and may or may not make money from gentlemen, if you know what I mean. Anyway, that's where Captain Shipwreck came from. The last one is a somewhat sadder story. It's called Queen of Sorrows. And when I walked along the lakeshore a couple of years ago, I saw these posters for a woman who was missing, and they were put up by her family. They were, trying to find her, and it said she'd last been seen down by the boardwalk in the lake in my area, So eventually I heard that she was in fact found, not here, but in the Niagara River. She'd committed suicide, obviously a sad story. I wrote this song about her. It's called Queen of Sorrows. Girl's gone missing. No one sees her anywhere. Just her face on posters. Sad eyes, long dark hair. She left her shoes by the shore. Maybe she's the lady of the lake. Did somebody steal her? Is it a choice you had to make? Come back, melancholy lady. Show your light as us. Come back, queen of sorrows. Find someone you can trust. Her desk is empty at the office. Her chair's a vacant space. Her family lives for her. She's gone a different place. But she'd be looking back from underneath the lake. Maybe she's speaking to clouds. We only hear her ache. Come back, melancholy lady. Show your light as us. Come back, queen of sorrows. Find someone you can trust. Thank you. I'll just put my guitar away and we'll get on with the show. The only trouble with doing this kind of stuff is you got too many wires to deal with the headset and the guitar and the connection to the computer. But anyway, we seem to have survived. Okay, so I'm going to go back to a couple of videos, short ones. Then I'll read you some poems. We'll end with a couple of short videos, and then we can talk some more, which should be fun. Okay, this one is about a building that's just a couple of blocks from where I live, the Waterworks. The whole construction is now almost 100 years old. And they were doing some renovations and repairs on it recently. And they put up these wonderful historical pictures, which you see at the beginning of this, showing how it was actually built. And those of you who like Michael Ondaatje may have read his first novel, In the Skin of a Lion, which talks quite a bit about the construction of this particular building, which was the first really big water treatment and plant in Canada, and is still providing us drinking water almost a century later. So I was very moved by these pictures, and I did this video. There's some wind noise, so sorry about that, but I don't know how to cancel wind noise in a video. Historic Photos, The Waterworks, a poem by John Outen. And it begins with a quotation from In the Skin of a Lion by Michael Ondaatje. Trust me, this will take time, but there is order here. Very faint, very human. Regard the heroic scope of this building, the vaulted windows, sweep of walls, blurred at borders, hammering on the roof, accidentally half seen. Inside framed recesses step the men. Their hands raise the whole structure. They wear canvas coveralls, dowdy suspenders, battered fedoras and rough tweed caps, one in a cardigan knitted by his wife. Labor magic, turning blueprints, lumber, and sand into a soaring edifice, still giving us drinking water a century later. No hard hats or safety lines, eye protection, or unemployment insurance. Just men graying into ghosts holding up the towers with glue of sweat and time. Under a full moon, they slip through walls, walk its silver snake onto the water, look back at what they built. Okay, so there's that. Thanks for listening to that. I hope the wind noise wasn't too bad. The next one is a music piece, no poem. This was put together for an internet friend of mine who was in hospice. She had terminal cancer and she said, you know.
John,
Yes?
John, sorry, we can't hear you. Your
Can't hear-
sound suddenly
Oh,
became
okay,
very quiet.
Yes, I turned my volume down.
That's
How
better.
about that? All right, thanks for letting me know.
Okay.
So this one, the next piece is basically guitar solo to a backing track, and it was put together for an internet friend of mine who was in hospice. She had terminal cancer, and she said basically, you know, entertain me, give me something to look at. So I put this together. I'm only going to play like the first 3 minutes because it does go on a bit, but I hope you like it. So let's get to that. It's called Lullaby in J Major because her name was Joanne. No. Hi, Joanne. Cheers to you. I think everybody should have at least one song dedicated to them or about them. So this is called Lullaby in J Major, and it's for you. Now I'm improvising a melody, playing my guitar. I hope not too badly on top of a YouTube backing track. I think it's called Smooth Jazz Backing Track in C Major, something like that. Anyway, hope you like it. Hope it helps you relax or at least divert you for a few minutes. And by the way, there's nothing in my hair. You're seeing things, okay? So turn the track on and let's get going. pause it there. And stop sharing. All right, so can you hear me? Yes? Okay,
Yes.
good. So this is the traditional poetry reading part of the evening. I might cut a couple of things, but I'm going to start with some that were actually written during the pandemic. I don't know if the rest of you had this experience, but when you can't go out a lot and you're by yourself a lot, your brain fills with strange thoughts. So I put 4 of them into starting off with a series of 4 short poems. Mary Lou and possibly Kath has heard some of these before, but they should be new to the rest of you. So the first one's called Two Worlds. Streets fill with vacancy, and the few walkers wonder which stranger might gift code-changing forms at the edge of life. Schools, churches, cafes shuttered, and homes caressed with Lysol wipes. Nature opens its spring collection slowly, streets drawing unfolding leaves on the damp pages of air. Green shoots pushing aside tired earth. Robins listening for that small music of a worm burrowing upward. From each twig hangs a droplet where a micro-world suspends upside down before falling away. The second one is in the series is called Franglo, and this is a new Canadian poetry form I've invented. You're welcome to try it yourself. Here's the rules. The first line is in English, the second line is in French in each couplet, and the final word must be one that works in both languages. So, and excuse my French accent, if you really speak French, I apologize. Franglo, I self-define the self. Je suis une île sans mer. My hair grows like a data cloud. Mon silence est riche et mystérieux. On the street, I avoid others, parce que tout le monde pourrait être dangereux, until tested otherwise. Hypocrite lecture, mon infecture, the moon watches all, and sensible. The next one is a bit of a homage to William Carlos Williams' famous poem. No plums in this one, though. After Williams, forgive me, it was just an itch. And my finger, not recalling the best advice, scratched that spot between nose and cheekbone. It was sweet and so satisfying, but now my finger burns the question, what imprint it left there. The last one is called Bolognese, which if you like Italian food, is a sauce that's basically tomato sauce with meat in it. Bolognese. I stand near the window, spaghetti and sauce in my hair, wondering how in my life I got here. When I see you outside staring at me, a ghost unfaced, wondering how we got here. We promenade together and meet strangers familiar and un. We play a guessing game. Which one knows he is a danger? Which of us knows who should be avoided? I root curlicues like a bark beetles as we circumnavigate circumstance. Okay, and this is a short one. Sibilant. Alone too long, a poet feels the African violet conversing with watery sun, trading leaves for light. On the windowsill, feathers sibilantly sigh, hoping to stroke air and lift together, keeping a bird on point. The next door neighbor is so quiet, she may be troubled again with self-hate, leave me alone despair. Guitarists sit silently listening for resonance, traffic and hall steps, heavy. This is probably the shortest poem I'm going to read tonight. It's called Refusal. A poem surfaces, fluttering its fledgling pinions and throwing phrases at me like bait for trout. I say no, exercising that power only poets enjoy. This is another one about a neighbor in my building. This guy is still alive, the one mentioned in here. It's called Neighbors. He was frisky when I moved in, propositioned my friend downstairs. Now he takes 5 minutes to maneuver his walker, one flight. Once a sunshine girl, heavy now in a shapeless shift. She had awaited the mail in our tiny lobby. I don't see her anymore. Hoarder with a kind heart, barely room to move in their one bedroom. She props a window open so squirrels get their treats. She sits at the window and coughs through the night, stating her illness and apologizing. He inherited $1 million. They could afford elevators, a little luxury, but here they remain. Okay, this one's a little bit more fun than the last couple of depressing poems. It's called Mystery City Beasts. And if you've read The White Goddess, you might remember that Graves mentions poems that were common in Welsh Celtic culture, where the poet would have lines like, I am a leaping hare, I am a running stream, I am a stag in the forest, which all stood for something else. They were symbols, kind of like kennings in Old Norse literature. So each one of these stanzas is an animal, a wild animal that I do see around my part of the beaches. So you're welcome to guess. Mystery City Beasts. I slink a luxury bolt before you can think. A duckling is dinner, a fat carp sashimi. I'm the urban weasel. Masked before the pandemic, a comic bandit hamburglar. Your seconds, my glorious repast. Your leavings make my heaven. A wolf on a diet, a fox on steroids. I sing at the moon, vanish your slow pets. Soaring, working thermals, fenders extended like a pianist's digits. Not for me, woods or wetlands, busy streets are enough. I am the hat rack, grace of a colt, that trembling rush, that leap over city hedges. The next one's called petrichor, which is a word I like. You may have run into it. It means a pleasant smell that frequently accompanies the first rain after a long period of warm, dry weather. As tepid rain raises warm dust, that odor, tickling and nostalgic around from first to last, outlasts us. The same molecules in that eternal triangle of 2H2O flooded the blood of Queen Elizabeth and Moses, the waves drowning Phoenician sailors, the irrigation canals of Mesopotamia. Dust-drunk water drains to the lakes, rivers, and oceans. Muds are tomorrow's marshes. As the rain stirs petrichor, dreaming streets and fields, my nose, watch hand, strikes between then and will be. I say indoors, safe and sterile. Okay, I think just two more, and that's probably enough of a poetry reading. So this one is, we see a lot of mallards and Canada geese and swans down on the lake, but last year I saw a white egret, which is a really beautiful bird. It's like a heron, but all white. Egret visits the beach. A slender S of white, hieroglyph for grace. You hunt, slow stepping and halt. Your fencer's thrust takes the silver offering, swallows it squirming along a sinuous neck, a poet's brain. Suddenly seizing the right noun to make a line dance. Then flies, a snake granted its wish for showy wings, a spear of snow, late August heat, shivering water. And the last one is a poem dedicated to my mother. I recently was given by one of my relatives a picture of her as a teenage girl. And she grew up in Scarborough, oddly enough, just a couple of miles away from where I live now with her family. So photo of Phyllis as a teen. Sepia in a Scarborough garden, your classic profile serious, the puppy tucked in one arm smiles. You always thought deeply, looking down, eyes shut. You contemplate how futures diverge, forking like the overhead branch. You could become a scholar, but young women were told to wed however well their minds worked. Did you foresee marrying a scientist, a good man who didn't know how to love, bearing 5 children, and your masters, once I, the last, left the nest? A gracious matriarch, you'd lose those precious nouns, then all your words at 90, still loving birds, irises, books. So that's the end of the poetry recital part of all this. Thank you. So I'm going to end with 2 more short videos. The first one is called Guitar Fire, and it has a story, of course. For a while, I was buying used guitars and fixing them up and reselling them and making a little money for something to do. And I bought an acoustic guitar that had a cracked neck. I thought I could fix it, but it was unfixable. And I'd only paid $20 for it. So I thought, I wonder what it would look like to see a guitar burn, because, you know, I knew there was no way this one could ever be working as a guitar again. So that's where this video came from. I took the guitar down to the beach at night with my friend Brenda Clues, and we videoed it going up in flames. And then I made a soundtrack for it. I shared this on YouTube, and one of my friends who's a guitar player was very upset with me that I would ever burn a guitar, even one that could never be used as a guitar. So I hope none of you are offended by it. Okay, that's guitar fire, and one guitar was harmed in the making of this video, I'm sorry to say. But it was beyond the help of medical science. Okay, last one. This is called, what is this called? Waterways, and it's a combination of photographs I've taken of the water along the lakeshore where I often walk and around the Waterworks building, which you saw in an earlier video. And there's one video sequence of water rushing into the concrete ramparts along the front of the waterworks. And one thing that's always interested me about that is if the waves come in straight, as they do in the video clip you'll see in this, they bounce off the concrete and they go back and they make a new wave with the incoming wave. They combine forces, which I thought was pretty cool. So let me see if I can get this working. There it is. we go. So you can turn on your mics and video cameras if you want to chat. You can say goodnight, had enough.
I really enjoyed that, John.
Thank you.
What is the word for that time of rain that you were talking about? That was
Rain?
before or after we smelled the evening?
Oh, you mean the waves that meet?
No, no, there was that word you used that was a smell,
Oh.
petra or something?
Petrichor. Yeah, it's a word for this. You know, when rain stirs up the dust and you get that sort of sharp,
Yeah.
slightly musty smell, that's what it is.
Petrichor?
Petrichor, like a petrodactyl.
Oh,
Or
okay.
pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lovely word. I sometimes see lists of unusual words, and I think that's where I learned it from. It's
Ah.
like there's a Japanese word for walking in the woods that translates as forest bathing. I can't remember what it is, but it's
Yeah.
kind of a similar word.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, a really interesting, varied program. I like the guitar burning
Hmm,
and poems about people. Yeah, good for you. Yeah.
thank you.
Mhm. You never know you live near water.
No, yes, even though I'm supposedly a fire sign, I seem to be drawn to the water. Maybe
I'm
I'm
really
a-
surprised that the guitar took so long to burn.
Yeah,
I
well,
would too. Yeah.
It took
Uh,
a while to catch fire, then it did.
the fire has to get inside for it to really burn. And at one point, I think you
Mm.
saw a burst of flame come out the sound
Yes.
hole. And
Yeah.
that's when it started to really combust. But I was curious about that. It was kind of like a low-grade science experiment. I didn't know how long it would take to really go up in flames.
Well, it's got that
Interesting.
protective laminated coat on it that maybe
Yeah.
Has a
protects it
feeling like
little
of a horror movie with the
bit.
going up in
Mhm.
flames. Yeah.
Ah,
Oh, yeah. I gotta say, it was hard to watch a guitar, even though you said it wouldn't work.
yes,
Burning. Yeah, it's a
yeah, it
weird.
is.
weird
Yeah, but the
feeling.
music was great with it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Of course, Hendrix did that
Wonderful.
with a Stratocaster, so. which
Yeah, but
probably
that
cost-
guitar is still around. Do you know that
Interesting,
story?
eh? I
It
didn't
was
know.
in his manager's garage for years and years, and a son or a nephew found it, and it went on auction for like $400,000.
I was
It's
gonna
older,
say
and
it's
you can't play
probably-
that one either. I mean,
No,
but it
no,
wasn't totally burned the way this one. was.
sure, sure.
Wow.
I
Wow.
think
That's
the
some show. That was
instrumental,
quite the show,
yeah,
John.
yeah, the instrumental stuff was beautiful, John.
Thank
In
you.
particular,
Photography?
yeah. And
That's a
think
there's
that-
lot of work.
yeah,
Wow.
I
the
think that's
lullaby, the lullaby I found
yeah.
particularly, tender and moving.
I think that's the best solo I played, and that seems to be my strength is coming up with solos rather than, the rhythm part, whatever.
Mhm.
But anyway, it's all fun.
Keep
And
at
I
it.
encourage you all to get your accordion out of the closet or whatever, and try it yourself. Charles plays guitar, I believe,
Do
too.
you?
Yeah.
I do. Well, yeah.
John, I really enjoy your photography, as you know, from Facebook
Thank you.
comment. Yeah.
I have to run, John, but thank you so much.
Well, thank you for showing up. It was
And-
great to see you, and thanks to all of you.
You're
And
very
Great, and I will
welcome.
Mhm.
see you soon.
Bye,
Okay,
Captain.
I'm going to stop recording.